At this point in the project, you should have your Google drawing created. It should be named just like so. It should be in your shared folder or in your classroom folder. And at this point, we are ready to research and find images to put onto this drawing. So there are a few ways to do that. The first one is simply to open up a new tab and do a Google search. So we can go ahead and say, this project, again, is based around Yoda or George Washington. So that's what we're going to start with. We're going to make a meme using one of those two, that person or that character. So let's go ahead and do just an easy search for George Washington. Okay. All right. So here's all the images that we can use. But before we go any further, in a unit covering George Washington, we should probably go ahead and go to usage rights. So right up here at search tools, let's go to usage rights. And basically, when it says here, this is the default, not filtered by license. And each one of these is basically a different sharing permission. If you have the ability or the right to use that image. So some of these are copyrighted. Some of these are images that you're not allowed to use. So you know what? This is a commercial thing. Let's go to like non-commercial. We're not trying to sell this. We're going to say non-commercial reuse with modification because we're going to change the image. So let's go ahead and see what we can find. And we get a lot of pretty similar images here. Obviously, some that are not correct and some that are kind of interesting in itself. But let's just go ahead and stick with one. I'm probably a good fan of the old just presidential George Washington here, all right? So if we want to take a step back here, basically what I did is I just went to go ahead and view image. Now it's this massive image. Okay, here it is down at 75%. So basically all we're going to do here, we're probably going to, because the size, the pixelation of this image, probably going to end up with a pretty large image here. But it's simple as this. You basically just click and drag. Remember the tap dragging option on a Chromebook to drag up to your old tab or the digital citizenship tab, and let's just simply drop it in there. Okay, so here's our image. Now here's the problem. When you align it, you can see that it either aligns with the top of the document, center, or something like that. So let's get it here. Now, take a look at this. You see how we have all this transparent document on the background. We want to trim it to fit that. So basically, we're just going to take this, we're going to drag it up to the top left-hand corner like so. And there we go. We got our red lines. And we're going to take this to match. So we just drag that right over. And there's our drawing, just like so. Okay, that's finding images using a separate tab. You also have the option, if we wanted to delete that, you also have the option to do a search right in Google Drawings. So if you go to Tools and Research, you can go to Images, and this time I'll do Yoda. Okay, this one might be a little bit harder to find because this is, a president versus a copyrighted character in a very profitable movie. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop this down, and it says, once again, not filtered by license. That's free to use, share, or modify, okay? So now our options are a little bit more limited, but let's go ahead and try this one, all right? Now, when you do this, it's going to keep this with you, the link of where you received it. And that's okay. That can live there. It's not the end of the world. You can remove it as well if you're worried about sourcing in images, keep in mind that this is free to use. Okay, so to resize it, now here we have a Yoda that's rather small. So to resize it, simply go to this bottom arrow and drag like so. It's very critical that you use any one of the four corners. Never try and resize using the sides, because if you try to resize using the sides, you end up with a distorted image, okay? And if you go the opposite way, Yoda ends up looking rather a little bit taller than he's supposed to, okay? So never resize using these, like so. If you ever are using a project and you want to rotate something, you can, just using this ball at the top, okay? So let's do the same thing here. I'm just going to drag Yoda to the top left-hand corner, resize it some. I can probably even get a little bit further. And then just by clicking off the image and onto the background, these lines come back up and you can resize like so to match. Okay, that's finding images, inserting them into a Google drawing, and cropping as necessary.